there is a fork in the road that's approaching you. And you can stay on the path which curves to the left by denying the existence of Satanism in the fullness that you've been shown. Or you can surrender to the truth and take the right-hand path. Now, where that road could lead is the sweetest risk you'll ever take. Are you still pretending that this one-eye religion of Freemasonry isn't Luciferianism? See, this here is the biggest obstacle you'll ever face. The very thing that could lead you to the prize is the very thing that will keep you from it. The reality of international Satanism. In the shadow of Christianity, Satanism has always been there. With every church that sprung up, so did its invisible enemy, the Satanic Church, growing out of sight and out of mind, from this to this. And Christianity has long been deprived of its power, as clearly demonstrable by the absolute lack of preaching against the institution of Freemasonry, Satanism's magic cloak, Satanism's magic trick. That's Freemasonry. And how they are laughing for now. So Freemasons are at the helm of the power structure of society, which means Satanism rules. And they're making their move for the new order of the ages. Are you that besotted by this evil world that you'll even deny the existence of secret societies? And what about the American president, John Kennedy? Was he just a nutjob like me? Warning us about an international secret society with an international secret plot, a Freemason trying to tell you and the world about Freemasonry. Shot through the head. I've shown you who they are. I've shown you how they successfully operate with degrees of initiations and horrific and illegal oaths of secrecy. And I've shown you why they are a secret society. I've proven it to you. And only now that I've done that, I can show you in this many minutes what the shocking new order that Freemasonry has so cautiously been guiding us toward actually looks like. And of course you won't believe that either. By now there's a 98.5% chance that you belong to the world. And in that case, the world can do, will do, and is doing whatever the hell it wants to with you. And when all you have is the world, you'll do anything to hold on to it. Christian or not, most of you will follow this world straight to the slaughterhouse in the name of peace, safety, and progress. Clinging to it, because all you love is inside it. Blissfully ignoring people like me warning you of who's really in charge of it. Men, women, actors, singers, businessmen, and politicians, all interlocked, whose God is named Lucifer. You've seen it with your own eyes, but now you can hear it with your own ears from this 33-degree Freemason in person, just in case the Masonic literature wasn't enough for you.
Okay, define Lucifer for me.
Pure, virtuous, wholesome, innocent individual that's out to help people.
Lucifer is?
Yeah.
Say that again. Lucifer is a pure, holy...
Virtuous.
Virtuous. Now, is he the Lucifer that God created?
That's the same one.
Oh, man, this is great. I'm going to put this on the internet.
Oh, God bless you, brother.
Because that's exactly what the Shriners and Masons teach, is that Lucifer is light.
No.
And you're
What about those
confirming
hospitals?
You know what, sir? Jesus said, many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, we did not do these good deeds in your name? And you'll say, away from me, you workers of iniquity, I never knew you.
Jesus said it?
In Matthew chapter 5.
You've been bred from childhood to fall for the biggest lie ever told, that Satan doesn't exist. And if Satan doesn't exist, well then neither does Jesus. And while your heroes and idols know full well that they do exist. And when I say you've been bred from childhood, I mean just that. Walter Disney was a high-ranking Freemason. Here's a Masonic stamp dedicated to him, and his very exclusive Club 33, which stands for the 33 degrees of Freemasonry. And who's the god of the 33rd degree Freemason, Walt Disney? Well, Walter hides the answer in plain sight because that's what Freemasons do. Firstly, the God of Mr. Disney is wicked. See how they veil evil with a cloak of innocence? What does the word veil itself conceal? Secondly, Walter's God is horny, symbolized by the horned god of the witches. And we all know Walt Disney loves magic, which is witchcraft. So the depictions of sex are hidden in plain sight as well. Remember, lust produces life, not love. So lust is purity, lust is love for the high degree Freemason. And thirdly, he hides the number of his God's name in the open as well. No, that's not a 666 he's seeing interwoven in the design. That would be ridiculous, wouldn't it? Not even when they separate the sixes from the name, all three of them, and place them together for you like this, in plain sight. No, not even then will people see. Do you think things are any better 50 years later? Here's the eye of Lucifer in the Nickelodeon channel, and his lightning flash. Remember what they actually believe about Satan. From Freemason Helena Blavatsky's book, The Secret Doctrine, meaning the secret belief. Who is Satan? He is the angel who was proud enough to believe himself God, brave enough to buy his independence at the price of eternal suffering and torture, beautiful enough to have adored himself in full divine light, strong enough to still reign in darkness amidst agony. Helena Blavatsky is suggested as recommended reading by the Encyclopedia of Freemasonry right here. And the Grand Pontiff of Universal Freemasonry, speaking of Lucifer, Satan and the Devil on page 407, writes that to the initiate, the devil is the instrument of liberty or free will. That's who Lucifer is to them, okay? To show you how little you know of who you're dealing with and the extent of this religion's influence and power, not to mention their plans, let me jump ahead for a minute. Watch this. This is Lucius Trust. The Lucius Trust is a non-for-profit service organization incorporated in the United States in 1922, and their objective from Lucius Trust website, dedicated to the establishment of a new and better way of life for everyone in the world based on the fulfillment of the divine plan for humanity. The divine plan. A new way of life. Like a new world system. Like a new order. Now you want to see who they work for? The Lucius Trust has consultative status with the Economic and Social Council of the United Nations. The United Nations, the UN. They consult the United Nations of the world. They advise the United Nations of the world. Now look at this. The Lucius Trust's publishing company was founded in the early 1920s as Lucifer Publishing Company. The Lucius Trust says that the name was probably chosen to honor Lucifer. What on earth does a modern day consultant to the most powerful and progressive force engaged in uniting all nations under one banner, the UN, have to do with the fallen angel of the Holy Bible? The one that Jesus Christ told us would manifest on earth as a world ruler, to deceive the whole world into a new world system. Yes, that angel. Why on earth would they honor that angel? Well, that's easy. They were founded by Freemasons. Incorporated into the United States by Alice Bailey and her husband Foster. Well, here's a book written by Foster the Freemason, The Spirit of Freemasonry, published by Lucius Press, also known as Lucifer Publishing. And one last thing, if you dig a little, you'll find an article on their website, The Esoteric Meaning of Lucifer, on a modern company website with consultative powers to the United Nations of all things. Wow, I really hope you're seeing this. In the article, it states that the Baileys had enormous respect for H.P. Blavatsky, who stated in her renowned occult book, The Secret Doctrine, on page 245, in the chapter called Holy Satan. It is Satan who is the God of our planet and the only God. Then the article goes on to say that the Baileys sought to elicit a deeper understanding of the sacrifice made by Lucifer. Everything has been reversed. Evil is good, Jesus is the enemy, and Lucifer sacrificed himself for you, not Jesus Christ, the one who washed the feet of his disciples and the only one they fear. Modern progressive atheists do not influence world events, people. Satanists do. Remember the goal of the Lucis Trust? The fulfillment of the divine plan for humanity. Yeah, the divine plan exposed by Jesus Christ in the Gospels. Hence their war on the Bible and the abolition of it from the school system and even from modern Christian churches who dare not preach from the book of Revelation. Your most highly evolved and contemporary leaders of society secretly believe that in the theosophical perspective, the descent of these solar angels was not a fall into sin or disgrace, but rather an act of great sacrifice. They believe in the fallen angels and their revolt against God as revealed in the Bible, led by the devil, the chief commander of Freemason Bob Dylan, remember? These people make contact with these fallen angels, with the royal art of Freemasonry called witchcraft. Please stick around, let me show you that. How many solar angels does the Bible say followed Lucifer out of this heavenly realm? A third of the angels makes 33%. Does that number sound familiar yet? 33 degrees of Freemasonry. Just a coincidence? From the Gospels again, which expose these people every time. Do not let anyone who delights in false humility and the worship of angels and who has access to some visionary world beguile you, trick you of your reward. You still don't believe that the false humility of the charitable fraternity of the Freemasons is behind it all? Well, Blavatsky also published a magazine called Lucifer with a woman named Annie Besant. And here's a letter written by Annie herself with the official Masonic letterhead. And here Annie signs off as a 33rd degree Freemason. Printed also in the left-hand corner, Annie Besant, 33rd degree, and a member of the Supreme Council. Undeniable and undisputable. Please don't make me prove it to you over and over. Have you caught a glimpse of who you're dealing with yet? They're all Freemasons, high-ranking. And they're all buffeted by a plethora of Masonic dupes who don't know any of this because they can't decipher the symbols and they don't care to try. They're proud and boastful and defensive of their beloved fraternity in which they get to rub shoulders with the most important people of their suburbs, cities and towns, and in which they got on their knees to take blood oaths of death, calling other old decrepitated men worshipful master, yet still they think it's innocent and has nothing to hide. Delusional and lost, almost beyond hope. Some of them still think it's a Christian organization, just like the founder of the Satanic Church described. What do you get when you carefully conceal Satanism with Christianity? You get Freemasonry. People, Satanism is at the core of our world, and it is behind the new order that will be implemented soon enough. It will be all done through deception. You'll be tricked. Remember how I told you that the all-seeing eye sees that we're in hell? Well, the massive witch and Freemason Helena says so right here. Satan is the minister of God, Lord of the seven mansions of Hades, the angel of the manifest worlds. Hades means hell, manifest worlds means earth. This is who you're dealing with. This is the religion and the beliefs of the rich, powerful and famous. And yes, politicians. Do you want to go back to sleep? You can sleep after this. Well, wait till I show you what they're going to do to you, coming up in this many minutes. For those who simply refuse to believe that Bono or Scott Morrison or Prince can be Luciferians because they all go to church, let me show you another Masonic ritual they do. And this is before Satanism or Luciferianism is revealed to the candidate. And then you tell me if Bono or Scott are capable of secretly believing in Lucifer. It all starts here with the Masonic apron. Different kinds signifying different grades. Have you guessed what it's hiding yet? The genitals. Pretty obvious. Like everything else they hide, once you can see. The genitals are the true working tools of a Mason. Freemasonry is foundationally a sex cult, like Satanism, because it all starts with sex, doesn't it? Life itself starts with sex. So the mystical force of the true God of Freemasonry hides in the hidden part of the human body. That's the Holy of Holies, covered by the Masonic apron, the seat of God, the seat of Lucifer. See here with Satanist King Diamond's artwork? The eye is attached to the horn god, but look at where the eye starts, from the waist down. That's where the apron of a Mason begins. And the one eye of Freemasonry is also the one eye of the penis, where life generates and springs forth. See the openly hidden secret of the Masonic square and compass now? You're looking at the sex act. That's the female in missionary position, and that's the male mounting her. The sex act. And the eye in the middle, with these emanating rays, is the orgasm and the ejaculation of the penis. See life shooting forth. That's how they see the sun and the earth too. The sun is the visible penis of their true God, shooting forth life continually. The light itself is the mystical sperm of the God of this world. The sun and penis generate life, while the earth and female womb produce life. The letter G, when replacing the I in the middle of the square and compass, stands for generation, sexual generation. The practical aspect of Freemasonry and Satanism's religion is that of a sex cult. You see Rod Stewart telling you he's a Freemason? By displaying the hidden hand of Freemasonry, also known as the Master of the Second Veil, and look at his other hand, taking the Masonic apron's place for covering his penis, which is the Holy of Holies, the seat of God for the Mason. And from the Grand Pontiff of Freemasonry, Albert Pike, hence the significancy of the phallus, the penis, or of its inoffensive substitute, the obelisk. Straight from the horse's mouth, the erect penis graces us, or should I say disgraces us, with its presence in every country in the world, marking its territory. The Masonic obelisk in our face, everywhere, making its bold statement, yelling, screaming in silence. This is another reason why we're considered the ignorant and stupid masses. Another example of hidden in plain sight. And here's an erect penis on the front page of the female Freemasonry magazine, The Eastern Star. I once stood in front of this obelisk in Sydney, and I must have asked 30 people what they thought it was. Not a single one of them knew. To the Freemasons of the higher degrees, the whole universe is in fact one giant and continuous sex act. This is the structure of Freemasonry. You can take this path to the top or this path. And way up here, you have the Order of the Mystic Shrine. The Mystic Shrine is what's found behind the Masonic apron, because that's where life comes from. That's the Mystic Shrine. You have to be a 32nd degree Freemason to be asked to join the Order of the Mystic Shrine. And then, once you're inside, you can be invited to join this order, the Royal Order of Jesters. See, Freemasonry is like Russian dolls, and Satanism is at its center. Look at some of the pins and lapel designs for the Order of the Jesters. You can only join them unless you're at least a 32nd degree Freemason. Sex and debauchery. Erections. The adoration of the phallus. Masturbation. Devils. Demons. Fallen angels. This one here, mocking holiness, reference to the anus, and sodomy, anything to mock the Bible. This disgusting one has King Momus sitting on a female's face, and hidden in plain sight is the square and the compass, for those who have eyes to see. Bestiality, yes indeed. this bagpipe player has an erection and the sheep is running away scared. Self-explanatory. This character has an emphasized eye, if you can see that, and the skull has an emphasized eye also. The wink and the one eye of the Indian. And the secrecy, the symbols of secrecy. On the far right here, the monkey covers his groin area, symbolizing the Masonic apron, and the black and white dogs, well, they symbolize the checkered floorboard of the Masonic Lodge, which is sexualized male and female principles, the horned god, where evil and good don't exist. And in the first degree, Masons are given a Bible stamped with a square and compass, oblivious to the inherent mockery and the foundation of the whole fraternity, as alluded to here with a genuine Royal Order of Jesters private lapel. This is a certificate that a jester receives after his initiation, and you see here their patron is named King Momus, and he was a god, or a daemon, which is a variant of the word demon, who was expelled from heaven, as the legend goes. Sounds just like Lucifer, because it is. Did Freemasonry disassociate themselves from the tax-exempt branch of Freemasonry known as the Jesters? Well, no, they didn't. Because, I mean, this is rare footage of an event within the lodge. Now, I'm sorry about the quality of this, but this is a Masonic lodge. So for Masons that want to say that the Jesters are contrary to Masonry, well, look. Look at these dirty old men. Masters of the lodge, with sublime morals. All married, probably all have daughters and granddaughters, yet still this, inside the lodge. But for you it should be obvious, because you can see the square and compass, the sex act, and the all-seeing eye right in the middle. I told you that Satanism was the oldest religion in the world, and it is. The sex act was ritualized and organized as a religion before we called it Satanism. But Satan has always been the god, the horny god, the horned god of these sex cults. All of them, from Sumeria to Egypt to Greece and so on, that's called paganism. And the real Bible of the Freemasons and the pagans, the one not written by hand, the one that's older than any book, the one that supersedes all the rest in age, thus making it the purest and most unadulterated word of God in the eyes of the Freemasons, is nature. Nature is their Bible. And before you think there's nothing wrong with that, wait a second, because you're not thinking straight. Ask a Mason, whether he be a first degree or a 33rd degree, what is Freemasonry? And the universal go-to answer is this: a peculiar system of morality, veiled in allegory and illustrated by symbols. Now, why would you need to veil your morals? Because in their peculiar system, evil is good and good is evil. That's Satanism 101. A peculiar system of morals. That should tell you something. That should tell you everything. Why would your morals need to be a secret? Because their deeds are in fact evil. Glorifying the laws of nature, where cruelty and self-obsession are virtuous characteristics. That's nature. Nature is as cruel as she is kind. The checkered floorboard, where everything is legal. It's Christianity that lives in reverse. The first shall be last. Love your enemies. The meek shall inherit the earth. These are unholy and unnatural concepts in the eyes of visible nature, the nature of Freemasonry, which is Satanism. What the Freemasons really mean by this morality veiled in allegory is that they're allowed to steal because nature allows it. They're allowed to kill because nature allows it. They're allowed to commit adultery because nature isn't monogamous. They're allowed to lie, indulge in all their God-given senses, especially sexual, because nature encourages it, as long as no one finds out, under oath. Jesus said, narrow is the road that leads to life, and broad is the road that leads to destruction. The Freemason of the century says, no true Mason can be narrow, for his lodge is the divine expression of all broadness. Because broad are the divine laws of nature. While they glorify those laws, Christianity breaks those laws. It becomes supernatural, because only then can you love your enemy. And so it goes that Christianity is despised by Freemasonry, the real Freemasons, because their Bible is nature. And by nature, they know the personality traits of their God, Satan, because he's the God of this world, just as the Freemasons, the enemies of mankind, say that he is. And just like Jesus said he was too. So they believe that Jesus is evil because he denies human nature and burdens us with the knowledge of sin. Observable nature, that's what guides the Masons' ethics and the Masons' morals. That's why they're called Freemasons. Believe you me, because they're free from moral obligations, free from sin, from guilt. They're free from Jesus Christ. These people are introducing this new system of the world, this new age. You're going to miss Christianity when it's gone. Mark my words. Because you have no rights in the eyes of nature, which is the Bible of Freemasonry and Satanism. And soon that will become painfully plain as a fact of life. Now please, I give you fair warning of what's to come in this presentation. It's very disturbing, or at least it should be. But cause to celebrate follows the disgusting things you're about to see. This is precisely where my own life and well-being come into danger. So let me say this right now. If you hear of my sudden death, or of my possession of 0.5 kilogram of cocaine or child porn, or my overdose or my suicide, remember this video. And if something so unfortunate should happen to me, may it serve as a catapult to you and as a remembrance of the conclusion to this presentation, which is this many minutes away. Do I really think they're going to make me pay for this video, for breaking my oaths? Well, seeing as people are so far gone, lost in the illusion that secret societies have constructed around you and inside you, and seeing as they can simply pull this video down, close my account and whatnot, no, I don't think they'll come after me. But if they do, let me say this to the Grand Lodge that orders my demise right now. Jesus wins. So in saying all that, here we go. Is Scott Morrison a Satanist? I'll let you answer that. Here is a ritual that Scott and every Freemason from this guy to this girl have performed. There is one Masonic apron you'll never see being worn. This one. And when I bumped into it, I thought it was a fake. Until I found this in Richardson's Monitor Freemasonry, official Masonic literature, written for Masons only. On this page, what is that head doing there? You'll find out in a sec. Let's read the description of the apron worn in this degree. Speaking of the initiates, it states, they wear white aprons sprinkled with blood red and lined and bordered with black. On the flap of the apron, a bloody arm holding a dagger, and on the apron, a bloody arm holding a bloody head by the hair. Now this is why there's an illustration of a decapitated head. And this is going to become to a bone-chilling conclusion. So during this ritual, the candidate removes the blindfold and discovers a basin of water with a tumbler beside it. He is also astonished to find a human head lying on the floor. The master of ceremonies returns and directs the candidate to take up the knife in his right hand and the head in his left. Yes, this pope, this rock star, this pop star, this actor, this actress, and this beloved Prime Minister. This is what they've done. All of them, hands down. And you thought all you needed to be is talented to succeed? No, you need to belong to the secret society called Freemasonry. And believe me, when you belong to them, you belong to them. Now you tell me, can these people end up believing in Lucifer? Is that really a stretch? Carrying around a bloody head? Swearing to have your brain cooked, tongue torn out from the roots if you ever reveal anything? No, the stretch is that you think they couldn't believe in Lucifer. That's the stretch. Lucifer, the one who sets you free, remember, from sin by sinning. Can you now see the bloody spirit of Freemasonry lurking behind the veneer of charity and the veneer of Christianity? Because Scott Morrison goes to church, apparently. The Pope is a Christian, apparently. But look at these people. So-called Christians or Christians gathered around a giant erect phallus in the middle of the Catholic square. This is Freemasonry, the demolition of morals, the creation of hypocrisy, and the demolition of true virtue. These minds are directing the future. Now, to be fair, I don't know if these heads are real heads. I never got that far to find out. But I will tell you this. All the skulls they use they're real. All the skeletons they use they're real. And they run every single noteworthy funeral home in Australia and the world. I know that personally and for a fact. Once again, you are only seeing the tip of the iceberg, because I can't bring myself to tell you about what I really know of the rituals that come after the 33rd degree Freemasonry. For as much as they celebrate life in various grotesque ways, they also celebrate death in ritual form, which are the things I can't speak of to you. They have to celebrate death in order to prove that they can see things through the all-seeing eye, the one that sees above evil and above good, the checkered floorboard where things kill each other to live, where life is cruel, where morals are broad. There is no sin, there is only nature. See, these Masonic rituals are designed to desensitize the candidate further and further in preparation for the raw truth of Satanism, the truth which is plainly stated by the Grand Pontiff of Universal Freemasonry. Lucifer is the light bearer, and that you should doubt it not, from their own literature and from their own mouths. Until finally the candidate's introduction into the royal art of Freemasonry, witchcraft. The ancient craft. Why do you think that witchcraft has disappeared? It never disappeared. It was hidden, forced to go into hiding by the appearance of Jesus on the human scene. Another reason why he's passionately hated, and soon him and his ways will be done away with in this new world, and so will your rights. You still don't believe me? You're still doubting all the evidence, like the Freemasons are counting on you to doubt. Well, remember from the Encyclopedia of American Religions, the continuing impact of speculative modern Freemasonry provided fertile soil in which new magical orders could grow. Watch this 2-minute clip. I can vouch for every single thing you hear come from the former Masons' mouths.
In the initiation in Freemasonry, we had to be recommended by another Mason.
Well, in order to join witchcraft, you have to be first screened. You have to be recommended by somebody currently in witchcraft.
Well, when I was initiated, I was blindfolded and bound by a rope, and on your bare chest was thrust the point of a spear.
In witchcraft, we were initiated through a very involved ritual, initiation ceremony, wherein the candidate was led blindfolded, bound by a rope to the edge of the magic circle.
And the rope is around your neck and you're led forward. And up front, at the eastern end of the building, is a person who's a worshipful master. And you kneel down before him as if he were a god.
You were met by the high priest or high priestess at that time, usually with a sword to your chest.
When I went to enter the lodge, a sharp object was put to my left breast. And I was warned that should I reveal any of the secrets of Freemasonry, to know what to expect.
When you're presented before the high priest, a sword is held against your chest, and you actually take a blood oath, promising to remain faithful to the secrets of witchcraft.
Well, when you are in the room, this blindfold is taken away from you, and this is a time when they say that you're coming from darkness into light.
During the initiation ceremony, the initiate is led by the lieutenant of the high priest and is challenged at the edge of the circle by someone saying, "Who goes there?" And the answer is, "One from the world of darkness."
In Masonry, the prayers are ended with "So mote it be."
Oh, and one of the other aspects of, or distinctives of the craft was that we would always end any spell or ritual where we released the power, this is where the power was released, with the word "So mote it be."
By now this should sound like a stupid question, but why do you think that the initiation ceremonies into witchcraft are almost identical to that of Freemasonry? I'm not even going to answer that. Come on, people, wake up with me. Here's Kylie Minogue, a Freemason, okay? Hidden hand of Freemasonry and the one-eye symbolism of the god of her religion. Now here she is giving the vow of silence, but what the masses fail to see is what's written on the book she's holding. Witchcraft, the royal art of Freemasonry. This is what her vow of silence is referring to in the picture. Yes, Kylie Minogue is a witch. And if you're still that deluded by the magic wand that is television, entertainment, movies, media and whatnot, then you'll no doubt fail to use the incredible eyes that God gave you, from which to see the real world with, the evil world, where Satanists are at the helm. The ban on witchcraft was only officially lifted in England in the 50s, after more than 1500 years. So that tells you who's in control now. And when I give you a glimpse into witchcraft in a minute, you'll see why it's evil. And why it should be anything but legal, even when using it for so-called good, because the well they draw from is poisoned. But thanks to propaganda, the craft of the witch has been absorbed into the realm of fantasy. Justin Timberlake here is also referring to magic in this cover art, with the all-seeing eye looking through the number of their god. Magic. Magic is a much smoother and more acceptable word than witchcraft, that other word. That word still retains its ferociousness, its true character. But that word has been sterilized. That word isn't real to you anymore. You can't feel it for what it really is. Or if you do, your mind has isolated it, confined it to some small groups of unimportance scattered here and there over this diverse world. And so it's nothing to be feared or concerned about. But that's the furthest thing from the truth. Now, some witches want to say that witchcraft isn't Satanism. That's either more delusion or misdirection, as confirmed here by Anton LaVey in the Companion to the Satanic Bible, when speaking of the followers of the Witchcraft Not Satanism school. He writes very accurately that they cannot afford to admit to an affinity with anything that bears the name Satan. He knows where the power of witchcraft comes from. Now, does that mean that Justin Timberlake is a Satanist because of his symbolism and the use of his word alluding to witchcraft in his artwork? Well, yes, actually, that's correct. He is. Here's a quote from one of his songs. You want to see who else is in good company with these famous idols? Suzanne Atkins. Same sign, same religion, Satanism. Do they all have to admit it in the English language for you to believe me? Or can the symbols they use finally be enough for you? Look at what another legendary Freemason, Arthur E. Waite, states. Out of evil comes good. And the confusion of tongues gave rise to the ancient practice of Masons conversing without the use of speech. Out of evil comes good, so it's good to do evil. That's what he's saying. See, I'm trying to include you into the conversation that the Freemasons are having with each other in public via symbolism, unbeknownst to you. Listen to what famous US footballer Tom Brady said regarding his wife.
So, man, I listened to her. And right after the game, she said, "See, I did a lot of work. You do your work, I do mine." She said, "You're lucky you married a witch. I'm just a good witch."
Well, this is Tom Brady. And this is his wife. Both initiated into the secret society. Of course they are. Wait, she's not displaying the one-eye symbol of the Freemasons, is she? That's just art, isn't it? Well, no, it's not. She's a witch, and her husband just told you she was. Here's Steve Miller's front cover to the famous song Abracadabra. And he covers his eye, because he's a member of the one-eyed religion. And abracadabra is a legitimate word used in witchcraft. Here it is in the 100-year-old Encyclopedia of Freemasonry. Why would the word abracadabra be in the Encyclopedia of Freemasonry, the fraternity that runs charities, hospitals, nursing homes, and that secretly supply us with popes, presidents, prime ministers, kings and queens, and the bulk of our entertainers? Why? You know, I really think it's time to show you what the Satanists dressed as Freemasons are going to do to you and the world to finally establish their new world, their utopia. And this is going to be the segue into that. This is my last practical example of Freemasonry's satanic roots. And then I'll close this presentation with the most shocking thing you'll see or hear. You probably won't care, but to the precious few who remain, I will send you off with the greatest and most beautiful shock of all. This is Jay-Z inside his Masonic lodge. You could see the Masons in aprons in front of him. This is where Jay-Z takes his sick oaths of silence, kneels down in front of other men, and calls them Most Worshipful Master, an appalling title to give to a man on this planet. Jay-Z the Freemason writes songs like this. This one's called Lucifer. And in Empire State of Mind he writes, Jesus can't save you. Life starts when the church ends. Oh, but he can save you, Jay-Z. He can even wake you up just before you collide into a concrete wall doing 120 kilometers an hour. I should know. This is fellow member of the craft Alicia Keys, who sings on the track. Here she is, showing her allegiance and wearing the broken and bloody cross of Jesus Christ, the occult peace sign, pure hatred for Jesus. There is peace when your conscience has been killed, seared to sin, and you can indulge to anything, a false and temporary kind of peace, no doubt. Here's a shot of Jay-Z's clothing line, purely Masonic, The Craft. Well, this is the craft he's referring to. This is him with well-known witch Marina Abramovich, also showing her sign of allegiance to Freemasonry. Now here we go. Here's Jay-Z wearing a most revealing top and the dead giveaway that you need to see behind the curtain of Freemasonry. Do what thou wilt. Do whatever you want. That's the adopted motto of the most notorious Satanist of the 20th century, 33rd degree Freemason, Aleister Crowley. Here is his certificate of appointment, known as the 33rd degree inscription and the double-headed eagle of Freemasonry. And here, next to his name on the certificate, including the symbol for a Grand Commander of Freemasonry, as shown in their encyclopedia. But to really confirm that he's a Freemason, here he is doing the Masonic sign of the Master of the Second Veil. Now here's a legitimate letter from Aleister. Again, the addition of his inscription of the 33rd degree, and he signs off with a symbol of the past Commander of Freemasonry. What does he write beside it? Baphomet. This Baphomet. Now listen to this man to get a clearer picture of the truth behind the secret religion of the stars and the leaders of the world. Aleister is the founder of a Luciferian church called the Ordo Templi Orientis, and he named himself the Beast 666, straight from the Bible, depicting the number of wickedness in human form. In his what's called Liber's writings, he says, "With my hawk's head, I peck at the eyes of Jesus as he hangs upon the cross." Do you see the hatred? You think they don't hate you too? Keep watching. And from the equinox, with the all-seeing eye of Freemasonry, this illustration. What does it mean? The writer himself explains. The picture is symbolic of the new eon, the new age. From the blasted stump of dogma hangs the hag with dyed and bloody hair, Christianity. There's a massive glimpse into the New World Order that's coming. Keep watching. And down here, do what thou wilt is the true nature. The true nature, remember? The broad morals. There is no such thing as evil. So do what you want. Can you see the Masonic future yet? Can you see the hidden hatred that pulses through its veins? If they believe in do what thou wilt, what do you think they will do to you? And what do you think they'll do in order to build this new world? This is from a commentary on his Book of the Law. The Beast 666 adviseth that all children should be accustomed from infancy to witness every type of sexual act. Do what thou wilt. And what about the royal art of Freemasonry? Magic is the highest, most absolute, and most divine knowledge of natural philosophy. What a statement. The highest, most absolute and divine. Well, let's have a closer look into some of the more hidden secrets of the most divine natural philosophy known as magic. Any living being is a storehouse of energy, varying in quantity according to the size and health of the animal. At the death of the animal, this energy is liberated suddenly. The animal, therefore, should be killed within the circle, within the magic circle, so that energy that's released can be captured and directed to serve the will of the witch, male or female. This is a science, a hidden science. But now hear this, coming from a 33rd degree Freemason, and don't you forget that. For the highest spiritual working, one must accordingly choose that victim which contains the greatest and purest force, a male child of perfect innocence and high intelligence is the most suitable sacrifice.